Okay.
Hello, my name is Abiel Beckford, and I created the series The One Problem. There are many problems in the world, but we're just going to choose one problem and spend about 5 to 10 minutes talking about the solution. I've been inviting people to come and be my guest. So today, my special guest is Patti Pokorchak. She is a small business sales coach and a serial entrepreneur. Patty, I'm going to turn it over to you now. So you're going to talk about your problem and offer your solution.
Thank you, Annelle. Thanks for having me on your show. When I was restricted to just one problem to solve, and when I guess my burning desire for most people is how to live a life without regrets. And it's something that's driven or motivated me since, well, over 40 years now. I was is a lesson I guess lucky I was lucky to learn at the age of 25. So supposedly I had it all. You know, I had the career, I had an IBM, I had a lot of money, I had the boyfriend, I had the sports car, but I wasn't happy. And I was lucky I got in, I was forced to learn how to sell at IBM, and sales is where the money was. And all I knew is I wanted to make a lot of money and then go travel and see the world. And I was lucky be able to do that. So when I was leaving IBM at the age of 25, and I'd been a up and comer, and everybody looked at me, and as I was saying goodbye to some older professionals, and they went, "Oh, you must be going to the competition." And I went, "No, I'm taking a year off to go travel." And they said, "I wish I could do that." When I kept hearing that repeatedly, it's just like, well, you could. Like, what's stopping you? I mean, I was, 5'2", 100 pound, 110. Okay. But I was this just scared little kid basically because I didn't have really great familiar parental support. And I'd grown up with a lot of anxiety, but in spite of my fears, my biggest fear was if I didn't go now, when would I go? And what I did is I realized I sort of fast forward in my life when I'm 95, and this is the way I always envision it. Is just imagine you're 95, wherever age you are now. You're 95. For some reason, you're in a rocking chair on a porch with your best friend, and you're talking about your woulda, coulda, shouldas. And what your regrets then, I would say, are your dreams for today. And when I fast forward to my life, and I had a choice of staying at IBM, marrying the boyfriend, 2.2 kids, and the white picket fence, and I went, but my dream has been to travel Europe, to see Europe and spend more time there. Is what if I gave up that dream? What would my regrets be when I was 50 or 60 or 70? And I went, okay, that's too big of a risk. And then it was confirmed when I went around and people say, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. And it's like, well, you could. You just have to really want to do it. And it was going in spite of your fears. And once I realized, so I went on a one-way ticket by myself because at that age, it's still hard to find people to travel with for a year. So it was one way, it was now or never. So I went and bought a car and traveled through communist countries, which was my Ukrainian last name, which, Pokorchak, and traveling by myself as a little blonde. And I looked about 20 years old. And, meeting somebody my own age, but because of, in Hungary, because of where he was born and his passport was Hungarian versus my Canadian, he didn't have the same freedoms as I did. So that was a huge lesson to learn. By then I was 26. And it was like, so many people, first of all, so many North Americans and Europeans take their freedom for granted, their citizenship and the freedom that we get. So I committed, I guess, when I made that huge decision to leave everything behind for a year, is that was a huge, scary move. But once I did it and I survived and I thrived and I made being half German, I sort of made it, and having connections in Munich, I sort of made a hub for myself there. So after my year was over and I had to go back to work, it was like, okay, I spent 25 years in Toronto. I know that. But I don't know Europe. I was just absolutely just had a little taste of Europe, and having made that huge decision, making the next decision. Well, I'll just go get myself a job and an apartment, and I'll learn German on the job because I've got this great IBM background and PCs were coming out. And it was just that next big decision was so less scary. And what I've learned is that once you face your biggest fears, is the next one is so much less scary and has less power. And it really truly is, you have to face your fears and do it anyway. There's a great book by the late Susan Jeffers. Oh no, yeah, face your fear and do it anyway. Just Google that title. And it was like, once you face your fears, is then they don't have any power. And the only way through fear is massive action. And I've always been action oriented. And it's again, when I coach people, it's just like, just imagine you're 95. What would you regret not doing? That's what you are. That's really your dream for today. When I think about people, I sold to the federal government for years, and they used to mark down how many, 10 years, 2 months, and 5 days until they retire. And they literally were the TGIF, where thank God it's Friday. They were wishing 5/7 of their life away. And I think that is a huge problem, that people are putting in their time and effort and in something that doesn't fulfill them. And I think that is a problem, that they're not living their full lives. And they can do stuff about it. I was so in debt. I had 3 properties in 3 countries with 6 mortgages. I was in debt beyond belief, but I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I had to get rid of that debt. So I actually made a plan and worked, for 1.5 years, 2 years to get out of debt so I could become an entrepreneur. Because an entrepreneur, you don't make a lot of money in your first couple of years. You can't afford to have that kind of debt. So I know it's possible that you can live a life without regrets, but you have to be focused on it and really, really, really want it.
Thank you so much, Patti. I like the idea of looking into the future, just getting a sense of what your life is like. And based on that, you do something in the present.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
right.
A lot of people will be able to learn from this interview.